Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. I wish you were here in person, you would have been right over there. But anyway, we're glad to have you here. And as Lisa mentioned, I'll be attending the Toastmasters International Convention next month in Nashville, Tennessee. And what that's all about, this is where the business of the organization takes place with member input. Now, how does that happen? Well, to immerse yourself in the whole business meeting, there's a number of things you have to think about. First of all, every club in Toastmasters has 2 votes at the International Convention. There's, I've forgotten the count, but there are literally thousands of Toastmasters clubs throughout the world, and each of these clubs, including ours, has 2 votes at the International Convention. Now, how do clubs utilize those 2 votes that they have? Well, generally, they assign a proxy to somebody that's going to be there. And there's a couple of ways of doing that. And the typical way that we do is to assign the club's proxies to the senior district person from District 101, which is our district, the senior district person who is there. We assign our proxies to them and ask them to use their best judgments on the matters that are coming up before the organization. And if we disagree with some of the particular items that are being voted on, we can instruct the proxy to vote a different way than perhaps he or she would have done so. Now, it's true I'm going to the convention, but it's too much of a hassle for me to take the proxy with me. There are electronic things involved, and so I'm just going to recommend to the club that we assign our proxy to the division director, who is Kalpana, what's her last name? I can't think of her last name right now. But at any rate, I'm sorry? Aroda, yeah, of course. Anyway, she would have our vote. Now, this is important for a number of reasons, because first of all, the first thing that's voted on at the International Convention are the upcoming officers in the organization. There is a president-elect, a second vice president, and these are the ones that and international directors from throughout the world. There may be 2 or 3 people running for each region, and decision needs to be made by the people carrying the votes who are going to vote for it. And typically we leave that up to the district director, because what happens at the convention is that everybody running for office usually has a little table or something where they can put their wares and what they've done with the organization, and we can inquire, we can ask them what they feel about the organization and what changes they might make. And after 2 or 3 days of this, people have a pretty good idea of who the district is going to vote for, and then the district makes a decision to give all of our votes to that particular candidate. Or if one of the clubs has gone in and said, no, we want you to vote for so-and-so for second vice president, then the district director is obligated to honor that vote. So there's a big process involved. Now, in the past, we have opposed some of the propositions that have come up. And before I get to the propositions, I should say again, there's a vote for second vice president. Generally, there's been an international nominating committee that has chosen 2 or 3 people from qualified Toastmasters to run for second vice president. This year, I think there's 2 that are on the official ballot. And so we vote for that, and then generally that's the only real contested election other than the international directors, because as you move up the chair, the next year you run for second vice president. And I can't remember anybody ever running against the person moving up at that board, or running for international, I'm sorry, for the, help me out here, not the president-elect. So we don't vote for the president. We vote for a president-elect who serves on the board for 1 year and then becomes the president the next year. And that's been going on now for about 5 years. I think we've been doing it that way. Now, after the vote of the individual for president, second vice president, and for the international directors from around the world, then there's a series of propositions, sometimes and sometimes not at all, that World Headquarters has decided that needs to be incorporated into the constitution and bylaws of the organization and of the club. And those of you who have taken my parliamentary procedure class know that the constitution of this club is at world headquarters. It's online in Club Central. Not Club Central, actually, you don't even have to get into Club Central to get to it. It's in policies and procedures, and the constitution is the same for every club in the world. And the only way it can be changed is at the International Convention by a majority vote of the people that are there. So this year, there's proposals A through L, and most of them involve crossing I's and crossing T's and dotting I's. For example, everywhere that the word corporation is mentioned, they're changing it off from a small c to a capital C. And this is actually one of the propositions in the 12. I've gone through this, and quite frankly, I don't see anything that's I would consider truly controversial for most people. There are a couple issues. I know Kyle had an issue with proposal C, which involved adding the words gender identification and gender expression for greater inclusivity, however you pronounce that, where it talks about membership. In other words, it says you cannot discriminate by reason of sex or age, except that you have to be over 18, and several other things. And they added these words. They're proposing to add these words because the state of California, where Toastmasters is incorporated, uses these words, and so they're trying to bring the language consistent to the state and the federal wording, whatever it may be at the time. And most of these proposals deal with either that or crossing I's or dotting I's and crossing T's. The proposal L, I don't particularly like, but it's going to pass, and that involves assigning proxies for the district council meeting. Our district is 101, and there's 2 meetings a year, and they've been online for the last 3 years, but otherwise we'd go up to the Bay Area to the meeting. And generally, the president and the vice president of education both have a vote at the meeting, and it was that you could assign anybody in the club your proxy if you couldn't go. Well, now it has to be either the president or the educational vice president are the only people that can carry the club's votes. One of those can carry both votes, but not everybody. And I see my time is up, so I'm going to wrap up by saying, go ahead and read through these. You can get to them on the World Headquarters website, and all of you should have received an email a month or so ago with a list of them. I know Kyle's been through it. And what can we do about if we disagree with one of these? Well, the club can take a vote. The club can actually entertain a motion to change, to not accept this proposal. And if the club agrees and votes that way, then we would instruct our district director to cast a no for that thing. So that's pretty much how the system works. I would ask if there's any questions, but I'm well out of time. I'm probably over time at this point, so I'm going to return control to our Toastmaster, wherever you are.
Thank you very much, Carl.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's a very illuminating speech.